Big shout-outs over to Carol Schramm, who posted an article on Hockey Buzz talking about 3 of the guys that we're going to be talking about here in this video today. Now, don't worry, I didn't just steal everything that she said and put it into this video, because obviously these are all guys that we have discussed on this YouTube channel before, but in this video, I wanted to take a look at some of the more underrated, underappreciated, kind of overlooked Canucks prospects that I don't want to say are guaranteed to being anything in the NHL, but who are, at the very least, doing stuff, and who, in my opinion, are doing stuff to the point that I think it's actually appropriate to talk about. So, today we're talking about Jackson Kunz, Arturs Silovs, and Marc Michaelis. 2 of these guys are indeed on the younger side of things, and one of these guys is on the much, much older side. We'll start things off over here with Jackson Kunz, because he was a Vancouver Canucks prospect drafted out of the 2020 draft, 4th round draft pick, 113th overall. He was the second guy the Canucks drafted. The first guy was Joni Jurmo in the 3rd round, so Canucks fans were deprived of a lot of the action for the first 2 rounds in the draft. But Jackson Kunz was a guy who, if you watch the video we made about him, we talked about his overall qualities that make him a valuable NHL prospect. And for the most part, it was mostly one thing: his goal scoring. He's a guy who could absolutely grip it and rip it and shoot the lights out, but he was also a pretty nice garbage man, kind of out in front, dirty rebounds kind of guy too. If you take a look at his scouting report over here on Elite Prospects, his hand-eye is excellent, and his balance in front of the net is so strong. Kunz really shows an understanding of his game and where he needs to go to be successful. His passing ability is evident. His willingness to get to high-danger areas makes him so dangerous, and his shot is so heavy. He possesses the puck with a quick release. He's a 6'3", 209-pound center who is playing most recently in the Shattuck St. Mary's 18U prep school program in the high school leagues. 40 goals, 45 games played, awesome. Well, he recently suited up for the Green Bay Gamblers in their first 3 games in the regular season, and in 3 games played, look at this, the guy is at 3 goals. Take a look, he's at 4 points in total. He got 3 goals and 1 assist. He actually started off the season on the first game of the year with a 2-goal performance. The Gamblers ended up winning 4-2, and hey, Kunz was the guy who got 2 goals on that play. So it's very nice to see him going into what is his first USHL full-time year, because he did spend some time there last year, and then 2 years ago he was also there as well. But this will projectedly be his first full year. Then he'll go over to the NCAA, the North Dakota University Hawks, mind you, going over for 2021-2022. Also, Jackson Kunz appears to actually have some connections to Brock Boeser, because they do follow each other. We have seen Jackson Kunz on Twitter kind of liking a few North Dakota stuff and Brock Boeser stuff in particular, so it's very cool to see the connections over there. But he's off to a hot start. Obviously, as a 4th round guy, you don't really expect all too much out of these kinds of players, but still, he is giving us stuff to talk about, which I do think is valuable. So let's go over onto a few of the other stuff we have to talk about here today too. Let's go over onto the other young guy. It is Arturs Silovs. Silovs is 19 years old, a 6'4", 203-pound goaltender, drafted in the 2019 NHL Draft in the 6th round by the Vancouver Canucks. If you remember, Silovs was the guy whom a lot of Canucks fans were kind of like, okay, why are we getting another goalie? We have Demko, we have DiPietro, we have Matthew Thiessen, whom we drafted a while ago too, so now it's another goalie being thrusted into the system. But hey, Arturs Silovs is indeed a guy who has some pretty interesting profiles, because as a player who was drafted back in 2019, he was a full-time goaltender for the HS Riga in the Latvian Pro League. He played for the U18s, was pretty okay there, 918 save percentage and a 3.32 goals against average as he went 1-4-0. But in the most recent season, he actually kind of, he wasn't really all too amazing with the Colts, statistically speaking. An 891 save percentage and a 387, but of course, you know, that's adjusting to a brand new North American environment. He's going over to a team that he's never played for before. Obviously, you know, you'd like to see an improvement on those numbers, but there still are indeed other parts of his game that are valuable. In the Latvian leagues, though, this season, he's got a total of 3 games played with the Riga and the Mogo. With the Riga, you can take a look at the numbers right here. 4.34 goals against average and a 9.23 save percentage. So that kind of contradicts itself very heavily there, because a 9.23 is not bad. That's really good. But he's at 4.34 goals against average, so yeah, kind of take from that what you will. It kind of appears that the teams are going after there and letting up a whole bunch of shots. But of course, I'm just looking at the numbers here. We don't have the context of the game in front of me. If somebody is kind enough to actually get that, then hey, you can earn yourself a cookie for the next video, I guess. But with the Mogo Hockey Club, he's at 1 game played, a 1 goals against average, a .962 save percentage. Hey, that's not bad. However, the interesting part about Arturs Silovs' profile thus far has indeed been his international play for Team Latvia at what was, we're going to go over to the Hockey Buzz article now, the 2020 Deutchland Cup. For context, the Deutchland Cup is indeed a German hockey-hosted event. The DEL, which is Germany's main hockey league, did not actually start at the time this tournament was actually going on. So this was like the only sense of actual hockey that had been played in Germany for a while until the DEL actually returned later. And Arturs Silovs, if you take a look at the article brought up on Hockey Buzz, he won both of his 2 starts. In the round robin, he made 16 saves as the Latvians beat the young Team Peking 4-2. To wrap up the round robin on Saturday, Latvia went with 18-year-old Rudolfs Lasdins in net, and he stopped 32 out of 33 shots in the 2-0 shutout loss to the main German team, which was sealed with an empty net goal. But then they went back with Silovs, who indeed was another winning goaltender. He stopped 39 out of 41 shots and held the fort in overtime to give Latvia a 3-2 upset win and the tournament championship, the first ever for Team Latvia at the Deutchland Cup. Awesome to see for sure. Arturs Silovs is a guy who I don't really think is going to be challenging Michael DiPietro for a number 1 goaltender or a number 1 backup spot, I guess, anytime soon. But of course, you know, it's nice having a guy in your system who is indeed doing well. And for a guy who is doing well for his own pro team in the Latvian leagues and who is playing in a pro hockey tournament, it does bode very nicely. Remember, this Team Latvia he is playing for, it's not U20, it's not U19 or whatever. It's straight up just Team Latvia. They're playing against German guys who are indeed in their 20s or their 30s. Take a look at this. One of the guys who was on that German team was Corbinian Holzer, who is indeed a guy who a lot of people kind of are familiar with who follow NHL stuff. But another player who was playing on Team Germany who actually scored a goal against Silovs was Marc Michaelis. Now, if you remember, Michaelis was indeed one of the Vancouver Canucks free agent signings after the NCAA season concluded in 2019-20. As the captain of Minnesota State University Mankato, he was over a point per game. He came over to the Vancouver Canucks. He didn't play because that's kind of when everything stopped up. And eventually he was played out there. He got 4 points in 3 games played in the Deutchland Cup. Very nice performance from him, 2 goals, 2 assists. He is 25 years old, so he's obviously on the much older side of things. And then if you go over to the Adler Mannheim, which is the team that Michaelis was loaned out to, yes, that is Tim Stützle's Adler Mannheim team. They played a game earlier in the Magenta Sport Cup against the Red Bull Munich hockey team. They lost 3-2. Michaelis was held off the score sheet. It's not actually counted because this isn't DEL play. It's actually another kind of tournament little thing. Their next game is going to be later tomorrow on the 19th against Eastbury in Berlin. But, alas, there was indeed a nice performance from Marc Michaelis. Now, Michaelis is an interesting one because he's a guy whom a lot of people kind of believe might have somewhat of an underdog chance at doing something to force himself into the NHL lineup. He is the oldest of the bunch that we've talked about today by far. He's 25 years old. He's older than a lot of the Canucks on the team already. He's older than Jake Vertanen, and he's older than Adam Gaudette. He's older than Pettersson, older than Hughes. You know the story here. But as a guy who was indeed very, very good at the NCAA level his entire time there, he was a point per game in his freshman year, over a point per game in his sophomore year, and then, you know, he was kind of taken up and away over the moon in his senior year earlier last year. There's a very interesting profile to have here because this guy is indeed a man. He's already played 4 years of college hockey against men, and he was one of the best players in the entire league. So if it's not the Vancouver Canucks, then he'll probably be a pretty notable Utica Comets guy. If we even have the Utica Comets, who knows what's going to go on with that. But if Marc Michaelis is in a position to actually go out there and prove himself, then hey, go out there, play some games with the Adler Mannheim. The Champions Hockey League is actually cancelled, so you can't really do anything there. But you still have that Magenta Sport Cup. And then eventually, once the DEL comes back, which I don't know if that's actually going to happen, who knows what's going to happen there. We'll see if he does get himself some playing time, and then if the Vancouver Canucks recall him or whatever. I'm not sure what the plan is, but we'll have to wait and see. So that has been 3 underdog, underrated, kind of overlooked Canucks prospects I wanted to go over here today. Jackson Kunz, who is off to a great start at the USHL level. Arturs Silovs, who is out here stopping some pucks for Team Latvia, and who is doing some pretty well things in his own Latvian Pro League. And then Marc Michaelis, who actually scored against Arturs Silovs in that Deutchland Cup, but who has had some pretty nice, notable performances in that tournament as well. So talk to me in the comments what you think about all 3 of these guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. So that is 99. And bye.